Stephen A. Smith blasts Jason Whitlock during 40-minute rant. Let me just play some of this rant.
Talk about shit.
And he really wasn't. But let me play some of this rant of him.
Fatty Locks took him out of here.
Fatty Locks. Why can't I find a video now?
But I'm a feminist activist agent with honorable ass. She's white as fuck and studies fuck undercover bunnies. Don't bring up honorable Travis. You know she is a hot button trigger for this crowd. Lord. Dishonorable is another fucking Umar. Leave dishonorable.
Dishonorable?
What?
You just called it dishonorable.
Because that's what he's calling her.
Oh, so you acting like, okay.
I'm just going along with, you know.
I'm sorry, y'all. For some reason, none of these videos are loading. Let me just.
For you with your overly disposed.
Lord. But yo, so Stephen A. Smith went in on Jason Whitlock. I'm going to play the video
now. He did?
I this to be a reflection on my character because this is not how I act every day. But I mean it from my soul when I say this is the worst human being I've ever known.
Why do you always got to put the ether beat behind something?
I don't worse than Jason Whitlock. He is a piece of shit. He's the dude that's gonna have a funeral and ain't gonna be no pallbearers.
Why is it seen as one of the most disrespectful things you could say to somebody? When you die, ain't nobody gonna come to your funeral.
I don't give a fuck if you come to my funeral or not. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna be burnt the fuck up.
Here's the funny part. Stephen A. Smith and Jason Whitlock, and I've watched both of their content at some points in their careers. They seem to align very much politically, socially. I don't understand why they are going back and forth. They both purport that they're pretty much conservatives. I don't get why they dissing each other.
He said it before I said it. I can't stand either Stephen A. Smith nor Jason Whitlock. And I can't figure out which is worse. But that fat hit was lit. All I see is that fucked hairline.
Fucked hairline. But Stephen A. and Jason Whitlock are cut from the same cloth.
Stephen A. Smith is worse.
You think so?
He said, I wake up every day trying to figure out what.
He said, I wake up every morning trying to figure out how I can make my boss more money so that I can make more money.
Shit.
That's more so the individual, the capitalist corporate mindset, more so than a coon. That's a capitalist corporate mindset you got to have. If you're in corporate,
I do not wake up in the morning trying to figure out how I can make the corporation more money.
Well, people who are trying to move up into these big corporations, yes, you have to think about how to make this company more money so that I can get paid more. Point, I think Jason is worse because he tries to push this idea that he's this Christian, evangelical, see no race type thing.
He might be.
But he wasn't that when he was writing back then.
How you know that to be true?
Well, he's the one who says that he goes out of his way to try and hire black people. And it's like, well, you see race then.
Wait a minute. So because you try to go out your way to hire your own people, that makes you a hypocrite?
Yes.
How?
If you're a person who says you don't see race, you don't see race. Race is something that's talked about far too much in this country. It's something people lean on too much. He's about who you are, your integrity as an individual. But yet you said out your own mouth back then that you would brag that you hire black people, and it's like, well, then that goes against. He can stand
for what he's saying and still support his people.
That goes against what he's saying. He says he don't have a people. He's a Christian. He's an American. Not his black is not part of his identity.
I don't remember him saying that.
He said this on his show when he had the pastor on there talking crazy, defending the quote unquote founding fathers having slaves.
I can't see none of Dishonorable's comments. If she wasn't mentioning by Duke and Travis, I wouldn't know that white hole was here. That's a lie. You would know that white hole was here.
All right, let me finish.
Might be two people to show up. He's that dude. He is the absolute worst. And he lies. And he incriminates. And he
no current rap beefs. Let's start a commentary and comedic beef.
He can't do it on his own.
Yeah, the comedians and the commentators, the reporters are beefing right now. And it's funny how one person can start the entire energy of a year. That Cat Williams interview have everybody constantly referencing him when they're about to say something disrespectful or quote unquote truthful. Like, I'm gonna be like, Cat, I'm gonna tell the truth. So now you got reporters going back and forth. More comedians are going back and forth.
Well, Cat was the inspiration.
Crazy.
Our people is oxymoron considering all folks ain't kin folks.
There you go. Now, let me just leave
Took a
out of
chunk
this.
out of somebody's ass.
The funny part about why this started was that Jason Whitlock went on his channel, the Blaze TV. I think the name is what's the name of his
Fearless
with Jason Whitlock. He made a whole video doing a review of his book, calling out what he figures are lies by Stephen A. about his basketball history, saying that he lied about playing basketball in college and high school, and that he's being put up by ESPN. Basically saying
He said he's a plant.
He said, just like Kat said Kevin Hart is a plant, I believe Stephen A. Smith is a plant.
Well,
by
do you
ESPN.
not have a lot of people that are plants in this industry? He's Caribbean, which is strike one.
Well, think about it is I believe that most reporters get their big break through an interview with a player. Stephen A. Smith, it was Allen Iverson. Well, what's the guy in the 90s name? I forgot his name. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. The guy who did all the interviews with Michael Jordan. That was his connect. Right now, you would say somebody like Shannon Sharp, even though he doesn't have an interview with him, the person he's latched himself onto is LeBron James. Skip Bayless did the opposite. He decided to attach his name to somebody through hating them and constantly criticizing them. So every reporter, for the most part, has an in to get a job at ESPN or Fox or whatever. You got to have sources. And if your source is a popular player like a James Harden or a Kyrie Irving, like Stephen A. Smith has, then, or used to have at least, then you get a job. So yes, everybody who's a reporter is somewhat being planted to be propaganda for a player.
Jason Whitlock has children. The audacity of Stephen A. Smith. Duke here making a compelling argument regarding which is worse. So who is the field Negro and who is the house Negro? Shout out to Antonio.
What up?
Cowboys.
That too.
So who is the Negro and who is the house?
That's a tough one now.
You gonna say Jason Whitlock?
Hold on,
is the house.
let me answer it.
I know what you're gonna
If
say
I had
already.
to say who's the house Negro between Stephen A. Smith and Jason Whitlock, I would say Stephen A. Smith because he's decided to follow the line to stay in corporate.
Okay.
Jason Whitlock was willing to say certain things and do certain things to get kicked out of corporate and have to be put on the outskirts. I think they're equally coonish. I'm sorry. But I think Jason would be somebody who at least somewhat stood on what he believed in some level, some principle that he had, and it cost him, the big bucks at the big company. So keep in mind, he started the show at Fox. He started the show at Fox, and they gave his show to a woman. And the Ocho dude, Emmanuel Ocho, that show he's on, Speak for Yourself, that belonged to Jason Whitlock
The scammer.
and Marcellus Wiley. He lost his. They took his show and gave it to somebody.
Benson or Jeffrey? I'm going with Jeffrey.
Good comparison.
I'm going with Jeffrey.
They're both the same though.
Shout out to Kiefer.
What up?
Kiefer, is it chilly outside? Is it 11 or 12 degrees where you at, Kiefer? The darkest one goes to the field. Well, that would be Jason.
Yeah, and I just said that. I said the field would be Jason, but I said because he at least stood on something, some principle he had.
Is that always true? The darkest one goes to the field?
No, that's a narrative push to create the light skin, dark skin thing, but Dan Lebatard and Jamel Hill confirmed details. I'm not gonna go too deep into the story. Jason Whitlock made a response saying that
Too cold. It was 12 this morning. It was fucking cold. I had on. I ain't gonna tell you how many layers of
What's that
clothes I
movie
had
where?
on.
What's that movie where when they walked into the room with the preacher and the air was cold, it was breathing cold?
A scary movie?
Exorcist.
Okay.
It felt like Exorcist outside.
Ha ha! Steven's literally Steven of
Django.
Django.
Django Unchained. Oh, he's the Samuel Jackson character. Yeah.
Yes, pretty
Who
cold.
that nigga on that nag?
Who that nigga on that nag?
Gotta get a heated blanket.
Damn right, I had one.
I just talked about this a few days ago. I said, what is up with everybody buying heated blankets?
Listen, it was so cold. I had to revert back to the old days.
Oh,
I had
Lord.
the heater on, the oven open, and a fucking heating blanket. I don't know how y'all do it in Chicago. I really don't know how y'all do it in
Chicago's
Chicago, Boston, y'all Negroes. I don't know how you do it.
It's worth it. All right, let me get through this rest of the story. So, Jason Whitlock, he pointed out that he never wanted Stephen A. and Jamel Hill, none of them to write for him because they weren't worthy. They weren't good writers. That's why he had to go out and hire a white person because they weren't good enough. And he wasn't going to lower his standard because they were black. He said part of the reason why black people want to work for white people because the white people let you slack. Good for the Negro. I forgot who said that. Who said that originally? It might have been
God.
Malcolm X or somebody like that who said that. Good for the Negro, because y'all like work for white people because they don't hold you accountable. They let you just be slack and lazy. That's what he said.
Well, it's true. Black people are always late.
No, black people have our own clock in our mind, in our body. And we
No,
come on
black
time.
people are always late. They're never on time, but I am the exception. I'm
You're not no
between
exception.
15 to 30 minutes early.
So you on time?
I'm
That's not
above
early.
time.
That's not early. That's on time.
30 minutes early is not on
30
time.
minutes later is on time.
That's early. 15 minutes
no.
is on time.
Anyway.
30 is you're early.
Go ahead.
Blah, blah, blah.
The stove open. The stove open. It's cold as fuck.
You damn right it's cold.
Certain black people, Baptist folks, are always on time.
Well, I ain't a Baptist.
You grew up around them?
I may
So
grow up
was
around.
too?
They don't make
So
me
Are
one.
you calling her a liar because your whole family is Baptist?
Okay. Well, you know what?
Huh?
I don't go along
Your
with everybody.
grandma, your aunts,
Carbon monoxide gonna have to wait
in the
in
cold.
the cold. Travis is white. Well, George, I would love to see a DNA test from you.
All right. Jason Whitlock responds to limited Stephen A. Smith after ESPN called him fat bastard.
Fat bastard.
That's worse than a white supremacist. Now, that's the last part we're going to talk about.
Shout out to the honorable Sienna.
Kiss ass.
The unbiased one.
Kiss ass.
The unbiased one.
Last thing we're going to comment on this story. Travis, what do you think about Stephen A. Smith saying that Jason Whitlock is worse than a white supremacist?
That was, I did not like that. I did not like that he said that. I don't think Jason Whitlock is worse than a white supremacist. Don't put those disparaging remarks on a black man.
Can I comment
Especially
on
a
that?
fucking tether.
Can I comment on that? Don't we
You can
always
comment
say
on whatever you feel.
Don't we always say the worst person to betray you is your own? Didn't we always say when it's time to kick this shit up and get rid of all this stuff that's going on?
What did he
that,
do?
Wait. That the first people we got to get rid of are the coon Negroes. Didn't we say the coon Negro is worse than a white supremacist?
I don't,
You
I
never said that.
I don't find him to be a coon.
Oh. Look, yeah, your body wouldn't even let you keep that lie in your body. It wouldn't even let it happen. They wouldn't even let you keep that lie there.
Damn, the most high.
Yeah. He said, boy, stop lying. All right, go ahead.
Nigga, be quiet. Travis.